Hello everyone, thank you for taking time to watch this short outreach video for the Sacramento Valley Water Quality Coalition. By watching this short video, you will fulfill your annual outreach requirement as a member of the Sacramento Valley Water Quality Coalition. Here's an overview of what will be presented in this video. We'll briefly review what the Irrigated Lands Regulatory Program is, the framework of the Sacramento Valley Water Quality Coalition. We will talk about surface water monitoring and pyrethroids, upcoming member requirements, and share some really good news regarding managed wetlands and the Goose Lake region. At the end, there will be information on who to contact if you have more questions. We'll start with a brief history of the ILRP. It began in 2004 to address discharge from irrigated agriculture in California, and its formation was authorized through the California Water Code. The mechanisms used are called Waste Discharge Requirements, or WDRs. You may also hear these referred to as general orders or simply orders. The ILRP program is mandated by the State Water Resources Control Board. Management of the program is divided up into regions, and the Sac Valley is in Region 5, which is managed by the Central Valley Regional Water Quality Control Board. The goal of the program is to protect surface water and groundwater and to reduce the impacts of irrigated agriculture on the waters of California. Property needs to be enrolled in the program if it is commercial, irrigated, and not already covered under a separate order. To get coverage, you have two options. You can obtain coverage as an individual or join a coalition. The coalition route, which I assume is the one that you have chosen, is the most cost-effective. If you obtain coverage as an individual, you are agreeing to bear the full cost and responsibility for compliance and report directly to the regional board. So most choose the coalition option. The Sac Valley Water Quality Coalition was created in 2014 to help growers in the Sacramento Valley comply with the ILRP. The coalition has over 1.1 million irrigated acres and over 8,300 members. It is managed by the Northern California Water Association, and the goal is to assist growers in the Sac Valley with compliance, coordinate surface water and groundwater quality monitoring on behalf of members, and compile required reports. Now, as previously mentioned, the coalition is very large in size, and because of the large size, the coalition is subdivided into 12 subwatershed groups, which are joined together by a memorandum of agreement which was signed in 2014. The framework can seem confusing, especially because most members have only interacted with their subwatershed. But NACWA is the recognized third party and ultimately responsible for meeting all requirements of the order. The subwatersheds are the local representatives. The roles and responsibilities of NACWA and the subwatersheds can be seen in the table on the right, and feel free to pause the video here and read through these if you'd like. What it comes down to, though, is that the subwatersheds and subwatershed staff are the local support for coalition members. They help you complete reporting, conduct outreach and education, and have invaluable local knowledge. However, NACWA is the one who coordinates all the subwatersheds. They manage consultants. All reporting data are sent to NACWA for analysis, and NACWA represents the coalition before state and local agencies. Importantly, the terms coalition and subwatershed are often used interchangeably. When something is due to the coalition, you submit it to the coalition through your subwatershed. This brings us to the topic of streamlining outreach. With 12 subwatersheds, there is the possibility that some of the work and outreach being done is duplicative, or at the very least could be more efficient. And so one of the things that the coalition has been working on this past year is identifying those things that can be streamlined. So you may start to see more outreach materials directly from the coalition, such as this annual outreach video. We've also started a bi-monthly newsletter called Sac Valley News. We have coordinated trainings, such as the INMP self-certification training, and are working towards optimizing other areas as well. This is all in efforts to ensure consistent messaging, conserve money and staff time, and provide a coalition-wide perspective on important subjects. And just as a reminder once again, each subwatershed is part of the coalition. So when you see news from the coalition, it is applicable to your subwatershed. Moving on, one of the biggest advantages to being a member of the coalition is that the coalition coordinates surface water monitoring. We employ a representative monitoring approach, and the cycle is 2 core years followed by 2 assessment years. During assessment years, a broader suite of analytes are sampled for. The 2021 monitoring year began on October 1st, 2020, and ended on September 30th, 2021. October 1st, 2021 marked the beginning of the 2022 monitoring year, which is the first of 2 assessment years. Summary results for trace metals, registered pesticides, and toxicity can be seen in the yellow table. Now, as you can see here, the Sac Valley has relatively good results for the trace metals, registered pesticides, and toxicity. However, pyrethroids are frequently detected and frequently trigger exceedances. Pyrethroids are part of what's known as a basin plan amendment. Specifically, they are monitored for under the Central Valley Basin Plan Amendment for the control of pyrethroid pesticides discharges, which was approved in February of 2019. There are acute and chronic criteria that can trigger an exceedance. High levels of one pyrethroid might be considered acute. However, if multiple pyrethroids were detected and together they crossed a threshold or additively added up to over 1.0, the exceedance would be considered chronic. So one site could have both acute and chronic exceedances in the same event. Under the Basin Plan Amendment, pyrethroids have an extremely low exceedance threshold, and extra caution needs to be taken to ensure that they do not enter waterways or leave the field. On the left are the 6 pyrethroid pesticides that are monitored for, and the white text shows some common trade names or products that contain the pyrethroids. Here is a table of monitoring sites that are monitored for pyrethroids. From this chart you can see that pyrethroids are not only commonly detected, but also commonly trigger exceedances. As of right now, the coalition is still waiting on guidance from the regional board as to when these exceedances will start to trigger management plans. But at some point soon, they will start to trigger management plans. So it's very important that best management practices are put into place now to avoid management plans in the future. Now, we're sure most of you already do employ BMPs, but remember, pyrethroids have a very low exceedance threshold, so any additional practices may help. Pyrethroids prefer to move with the sediment, so reducing sediment runoff in water and wind transport would help reduce pyrethroid movement. On the right are examples of some BMPs for pyrethroids. And if you would like more information regarding pyrethroids, the Basin Plan Amendment, or specific information about your drainage, please contact your local subwatershed. And just as a reminder, management plans are triggered when there are 2 or more exceedances of the same constituent at the same site within a 3-year period. This is a chart of all required and completed management plans in the coalition, going all the way back to January of 2005. On the left are management plans that were triggered, and as they were completed, they moved to the right. You can see in the earlier years, when the monitoring program was just getting going, a lot of management plans were triggered. However, since the peak of 34 in 2009, the number of management plans have gone down, and the number of completed management plans has grown. As of September 2020, the coalition only has 4 active management plans and has completed 44 management plans. And this is all because members have employed good practices resulting in good monitoring results. So thank you. We are now going to talk about coalition member requirements. Member requirements primarily comprise of participating in annual outreach, paying annual fees and dues, and of course the reporting requirements. The reporting requirements include the INMP worksheet, which stays on farm and must be completed annually, the INMP summary report, which also must be completed annually, but this one is turned into the coalition, the farm evaluation plan, which is due every 5 years and will be due again in 2026, the sediment and erosion control plan where applicable, and a new report called the Management Practice Implementation Report, or MPIR. The MPIR is a new report that was mandated by the State Water Board. There are two types, a groundwater MPIR and a surface water MPIR. Thanks to the hard work of coalition leadership and the open-mindedness of the regional board determined that data already collected through the INMP summary report and farm evaluations meet a majority of the groundwater MPIR requirements. However, there will be an additional 10 questions required from members in the BYS, Colusa Glen, Dixon Solano, PNS SNS, Sac Amador, Shasta Tehama, and Yolo County subwatersheds. These questions will be related to distribution uniformity, and they are designed to help guide coalition and subwatershed outreach, as distribution uniformity plays an important role in irrigation efficiency, nitrate leaching, and protection of groundwater quality. Now, for members in areas with the Surface Water Quality Management Plan, these members will be required to complete a surface water MPIR. Both the groundwater and surface water MPIRs must be returned to the coalition, and members who fail to submit the report will have their names reported to the regional board. Your subwatershed will notify you if your property falls into one of these categories. And just to recap other member requirements, members must also pay their annual fees and dues. Failure to do so, and the coalition is authorized to drop the membership from the enrollment list and report the dropped member's name to the regional board. This will result in follow-up and possible enforcement actions and fines. Now, included in your annual dues is the state water quality fee, which is paid directly to the water boards to fund the program. The fees for the 2021-2022 year will increase to $1.04 an irrigated acre for irrigated pasture with no external nitrogen inputs, and $1.29 per irrigated acre for all other crops. This presentation has previewed some major changes happening in the ILRP, such as pyrethroid monitoring and MPIRs. And there is another major change coming in 2022. The Drinking Water Well Monitoring Program. This is another requirement that was mandated by the State Water Board for the whole Central Valley. However, it begins in the Sacramento Valley in 2022. Members with wells that are actively used for drinking or cooking on enrolled parcels must sample annually for nitrate plus nitrite as nitrogen. If the well exceeds the drinking water limit of 10 milligrams per liter, specific actions must be taken, such as notifying any users of the well of the potential health risks. Much more information will be mailed to members soon, but for now, the coalition wanted members to be aware that this is coming, since 2022 is not that far away. The Drinking Water Well Monitoring Program requirement is one example of how the focus of the water boards has shifted from surface water to groundwater in the past 5 years. The coalition is working on another outreach video to help members understand this shift, the drivers behind it, and what it means to a grower in the Sac Valley and the coalition as a whole. Now, it's time for some really good news. This past fall, the Regional Water Board approved exemptions for managed wetlands and the Goose Lake subwatershed, meaning they no longer have to participate, financially or otherwise, in the ILRP. We owe a huge thank you to Dr. Ken Tate, Tina Saitone, and Pam Giacomini, whose work is primarily responsible for the exemption of Goose Lake. Similar work is now being done to show that irrigated pasture in other upper watersheds, such as the Upper Feather River, Pitt River, Western Shasta, and the foothills, are also low threat. So we hope to share good news about that work soon. And to end, just another reminder of the framework of the ILRP and the Coalition. The State Water Board and Regional Board mandate and manage the program, and the Coalition is the go-between for you, the member, and the regulatory agencies. However, the Coalition is not the regulator. We are here to help you comply with the state-mandated program with the help of our Subwatershed groups. Here are some links and contact information if you would like more information about the topics we spoke about today. These links are also included in the video description below. Thank you very much for your time, and with that, you have completed your annual outreach requirement as a member of the Sacramento Valley Water Quality Coalition.